So Dalton, on the other side of Kansas State, you have Gunnar Maldonado. What was it like sharing the same secondary with him, and reflect on his time here?
Yeah, I always appreciate my boy Gunnar. He's a great athlete and a great teammate. We definitely had a connection when he was playing here. College football is a business these days, and he decided to transfer over to K-State. Never mad at him. Wishing him the best of luck, and excited to see him this weekend and see if he gets out there and plays.
And then, what has impressed you about how Genesis has taken over that free safety spot that Gunnar has played the last few years?
Yeah, like I mentioned, me and Gunnar had a really good connection out there, so the trust was there, and just it makes it easier to play fast and just move around. And Genesis definitely stepped up into that role as far as building each other's trust with each other, and then just playing hard and physical, and knowing the other one's going to be there, and we're just going to get it done together.
Brian and Michael. Trey, some of the coaches have mentioned that from the spring to the fall that there's been a lot of improvement and transition for you. What took a while for you to kind of get acclimated here?
I think just honestly adjusting to the playbook, getting comfortable, and just building that relationship with Noah, building a relationship with the rest of my team, and just gaining trust overall. I struggled a little bit in the spring just with different things on the field, and I think that over the summer, I took a lot of time to adjust and look into the plays and look into the playbook, just understand more about what's going on the football field in general, and it allowed me to be more comfortable and confident on the field during summer or during fall camp.
When it came to looking at schools, did you know that Kansas State was going to be on Arizona's schedule when you were looking at schools, or did that not really factor in?
I was aware, but it wasn't like oh, I'm gonna go to Arizona because I know we're gonna play Kansas State, But definitely when I committed here, I thought it was gonna be an awesome opportunity to play against my old teammates again, and I thought that was a cool little detail.
Michael, Detroit.
Dalton, you missed the Kansas State game last year?
I did, yes, sir.
So maybe Avery Johnson wouldn't have run as much as he did if you had played, but watching the film or watching that game live, what do you remember about his running ability, and what has been kind of the coaching, what have been the coaching points this week to try to negate that?
Yeah, obviously, it's hard and fun to play a running quarterback, because they can do so much, and you really just got to, expand your defense and, do more and step it up. So, we're excited for it. His running ability is a threat, and, our goal is to take that away and make him throw the ball. But I'm excited to play. Didn't get to play against him last year, so I'm ready to be out there.
Troy and Justin.
Trey, obviously you had a front row seat watching Avery Johnson last year and being one of his teammates. What makes him an effective quarterback? What did you see out of him?
I think that he's a fast thinker. He's good on his feet. He makes good decisions. I believe that he's also a good leader. He takes control of offense when he needs to, and he just instills confidence in the rest of the players. So I think that that's one thing to always keep in mind about him. When we're going against him is just knowing that he's smart on the field. He has a really good sense of what's happening on the field. He's a good player.
And then Dalton, where do you think the defense has made the biggest improvement from week one and then after the second game against Weber State?
Yeah, I would say finishing the game. Actually, I would change that to starting the game, because versus Hawaii, we came out super slow, and then we figured it out in the second half. So I feel like Weber State, we came out on top, and then we finished until the fourth quarter. So that's something we're definitely striving for again this week, because that's going to be important versus a team like Kansas State. We got to come out fast, and we got to finish the game.
Justin and Jason.
Trey, how do you reflect on the couple years that you spent at Kansas State?
Honestly, I look back at those days and I smile, because I feel like I grew a lot there, and I've grown a lot here too. But just coming from high school, going straight into a program like Kansas State, they pride themselves on hard work and responsibility. So I had a lot to learn, just making it to places on time, even without having a car, making sure I had a ride. It was just being early. I had to really grow up at Kansas State. So I think that was huge for me. It was just setting, kind of gave me a formula to how to become a man. And I think that me coming to Arizona has helped me grow and expand off that.
And from your perspective, what's it been like to see Genesis settle into his role at free safety?
Oh, I think it's awesome, man. I've seen it since high school, how skilled he was, and even at Kansas State, I would always check in watching Arizona games to see how he was doing, And I think that his growth overall has been, tremendous. He's a super process-oriented person, just with everything that he does, how he approaches the game. So I think that me coming here, reuniting with him, has also allowed me to take, bits and pieces of how he operates and apply that to my, personal and daily, uses.
For Trey, last year when Kansas State's offense was rolling, what was the biggest reason why?
I think one of the biggest factors with that offense is, they play off energy. When the sideline was quiet over there, heads would go down, and it felt like we were beating ourselves up at certain points in the game. They got once you get in your head, it started a snowball effect. So I think that when the energy was super high and, each situation they're able to build off of, I think that's what created such an explosive offense over there. And you had a lot of players, you had a lot of playmakers, like super good players that could play at different positions and move around. So.
And then for Dalton, do you view this game with the jump in competition from the first two games as a prove-it game at all? Like, not necessarily to yourselves, but other just in general, like you have something to prove?
I mean, I feel like a lot of people see that, but as far as, defense and the team, each week is a faceless opponent. We're just trying to be the best we can every day. We got a big game in front of us, so it's a great one to win and, move on from that. But, yeah, we're just ready to go out there, and if you want to say prove-it game, you can. I think we're just ready to play and just, one game at a time, to be honest.
Brian and Justin.
Trey, in camp you had a lot of those kind of wow catches where you were going up over a couple of guys, whatever. But how important was it to be able to find a way to make more than just the contested ones, to find yourself open?
I think that, like I mentioned earlier, just understanding the field, understanding coverage, understanding leverage, those played huge. Those are huge factors in just me growing over the offseason and finding ways to get myself open. I've always wanted to be a player that doesn't have to rely on only my physicality and just get covered up, and a ball's thrown to me, he makes a catch. I want to be a well-rounded receiver that can dominate in different areas as a receiver. So that was huge for me.
Yeah, and your TD catch against Weber State, it seemed like it was designed to have you open in that space. And can you walk us through that play?
I think that, I just came across the field, and Noah went through his progressions. He saw me open. We had other routes open, cross behind me, but he got the ball to me, and it was a pretty simple play. It wasn't a lot to it. You know what I'm saying? Just got the ball to me, and then the rest just used my feet to get to the end zone.
Last two will be Justin and Michael. Dalton, as a defensive back, what's it like going up against Trey in practice?
Yeah, I knew Trey was coming here. He's this big body receiver, 6'3", 6'4", if you want to say. I'm excited, seeing him every day, watch his growth. Obviously I'm with Genesis all the time, and he always talks about, Trey, building his confidence. And I've definitely seen that. Seeing some speed pick up too, so Trey's a great overall receiver, and just, I'm glad he's on our team now.
One for each. Dalton, Riley Wilson got into the game in the second half last week, and he seemed to be pretty explosive and making a lot of plays. What did you think of his performance and what he can bring to the defense?
Yeah, I'm excited to have Riley back on the field. He's been going through some injuries and stuff, but I think he's a great player. When he gets on that field on the defense, it just kind of lights up. It's just another hungry dog out there, and you can tell how bad he really wants to play and that he loves this game. So you always appreciate teammates like that. So glad to have him back, and I'm ready to be out there with him, ready to work.
Sure. Trey, obviously the passing attack was more efficient and effective in the second game versus the first game. Where do you think the improvement came from?
I think that for us, we talk about a response a lot. I feel like a team's got to know when to respond to not only bad plays but good plays as well. And I think that as an overall offense, we were able to keep stacking plays and keeping the energy high. That's something I really believe in. is the sideline having energy, because that can change the whole momentum of a game. So, energy was high the whole game. Everybody's getting in. When the young dudes get in, keeping the energy up, just allowing everybody to have fun out there, and everyone was playing confident.
Thank you, guys. Thanks, gentlemen.
Thank
y'all.
you.
All right, questions for Coach. We'll start with Justin and then Michael.
So big week for Trey Spivey going up against his former team. What has impressed you about how he's evolved as a receiver since you got him?
Coach Gonzales will attest to this, but he's grown tremendously since the spring. In the spring, it was almost, obviously new system, new way of practicing. The tempo was different, getting in shape, getting some chemistry with Noah and other quarterbacks, learning the signals. All that stuff was a lot. And once he kind of settled in, you really could see his skill set. And like he sat up here and told you, he wants to be more than just a big body receiver, and I believe he is, because he can really accelerate. And I think you saw that on the touchdown that we threw him this past weekend, where it was just a little flat throw. But when he caught the ball, he accelerated through the end zone. And I think that's a skill set that most people don't see as him, because, like I said, he is a big body, which I prefer, especially on the edge, because those guys can make things right, which he does a lot of the time. He can go up and get balls over people's heads, 50-50 jump balls, and then separate, when the coverage is tight. But at the same time, there's times where he can really separate by being explosive, and kind of leave you behind. There's a couple. I remember a couple plays in camp that we threw, deep post and deep V's to him, and he was running. And so it excites me. I think he's still growing, and I think he's got a lot of confidence, especially through the camp that he had, and then a couple plays that he made. The first play of the season, we threw a ball that probably shouldn't have been thrown, and he made the play. I'm excited about him. I'm excited that he's getting this opportunity to play this weekend, or on Friday, against some of his former teammates, for sure.
And with the first game, having more rushing touchdowns, last game kind of more pass-centered, how do you think the offense has looked through the first two games?
Well, the first game, I was a little bit frustrated on how we played in the second half, because I felt like there was a little bit of a lull. We had like 17 points in like 23 plays, and I could be wrong on that, but it was something like that. So Danny gave us the ball on short fields, so I felt like we did a good job of executing in the first half, and then the second half, I felt like after halftime, we kind of relaxed. We came out, scored right out of the gate, and then relaxed, and that's just not the standard that I want to set. That's not the type of offense I want to be. I want to step on people's throats. And then last weekend, I thought we were way more explosive. I thought we had more opportunities to be explosive. Like I said, I felt like that first game we were on short fields, so the calls were a little bit different. This game we got a chance to get in a rhythm early. I still wish we could have finished a little bit better. My standard is extremely high. Those kids know that. So, but I was really proud of the way they played. I thought both games, the effort has been tremendous. The intention has been tremendous. We just got to make sure that when it's time to finish, that we finish.
Michael and Brian.
Where did you think that Noah made the most growth from week 1 to week 2?
Yeah, I think it's you guys know this. Playing quarterback's the toughest position to play in all sports, because you don't see everything. And when things aren't going great, it's always your fault. And that's part of playing the position. Was it all his fault? No. There was MAs all over the place. Was there times that it was his fault early in that first game? Yeah, his eyes progression was fast. He missed throws he doesn't normally miss. I thought his feet were a little happy at times. But the greatest thing about him is he owned it. After the game on Weber, like I told you, I was a little bit disappointed in the way we finished. And he came up to me and said, "Coach, that's on me." And right then I knew, that just told me everything. I already knew the kid, I already knew who he was and what he's about, but it was like, okay, he is a real one. And so he took a lot of ownership of that first game of like how that's not the standard of play he wants to play at, but he also took the accountability and owned it, fixed it going into that next week and played pretty elite, you know, and I think there's a few throws he'd like to have back, a few reads he'd like to have back, but I mean, missed, 5 throws all game, and a couple of them could have been caught, right? And then he had a couple really, really impressive scrambles. I thought, like, to me, he's a little bit different than he was last year on his feet when he decides he wants to use it, you know, so that's going to be another advantage to his game. But I'm really proud of him. I'm proud of the way he responded. I'm proud of the way he prepped. He prepped really hard. And then, you know, I think it's, you know, for a guy like Noah, where he does put so much work into his preparation in the week, that sometimes, like, you just got to encourage him, man, go let it loose. Because I think guys get so bottled up. I'm one of them, you know, and especially when I was playing, man, I always felt like I was the most prepared on the field. There was nobody that was more prepared than me. But then you got to go let it loose. You got to go play, and I thought he did a great job of that on Saturday.
Brian and then Troy.
Is the Service Academy about the worst kind of opponent your opponent could have played the week before when it comes to scouting?
When it comes to tape, because it's a little bit useless just because obviously the schematics don't add up. You're not going to defend us as the same as you defend Army or Navy or Air Force, whoever they're playing. So yeah, it's a little bit useless tape. Now, I think if you ask anybody else in the country, you don't really want to play those games because, you know, it could happen like it did. You know, they're on the field for, I don't know how many snaps they were on the field, but something crazy, like 40 plus plays when they got that onside recovery. So that was tough on them. I know listening to a few press conferences, you know, they're a little bit, you know, worn down from that game. And so they got to do a great job of recovery this week so they can come in fresh and give us, you know, which I anticipate fully. You know, it's Kansas State, it's a Big 12 game, and these guys are full of tradition. So regardless of who they played the week before, they're going to come out, we're going to get their best shot. But yeah, from a scheme standpoint, it's a little bit useless.
So do you have to look more at the first 2 games then?
Yeah, absolutely. And then those are a little bit skewed too, just because Iowa State's a 12, 13, 14. I mean, they play every single tight end they have on the roster. They're playing in big sets, and then North Dakota was in bigger sets too. So you're not getting a great idea of what they're going to do to you. So you got to use a little bit of imagination. And then obviously with the change of schemes, you know, they're a little bit more forward down than they were last year. So I anticipate that, but I'm not naive to the fact that I could get the 3-down version too. So we'll be prepared for both.
Troy and then Jason.
Questions. One, just your overall thoughts on Rhino getting into last game and just how he was able to perform.
Super proud of him. I think going through what he went through, and then, you know, obviously I've been through 2 ACLs myself, so the recovery of that is like a roller coaster. One day you feel great, and then the next week, 2 weeks, you feel like, am I ever going to play again? So I know from a mentality standpoint, that's a roller coaster for him. But I thought he's attacked, ever since I've been here, he's attacked the rehab process and put himself in a position to be ready to play right now. You know, and I don't think that's always the case. I've been at other places where you don't have those guys ready to play. Well, it's because they didn't attack the rehab and attack the training like Rhino did. So I'm really proud of the way he's built himself up to play. And I thought there was some good moments. I think for Rhino, it's just getting into football shape. You know, I think, you know, you can practice all you want, you can train all you want, but when you get out in that football field, all of a sudden, you go 8 or 9 drives and it's all tempo and you can't breathe. That's a different type of feeling, and you still got to be able to execute, you know, your assignment and your technique, so to give us the best chance to have success. So I think that's the biggest thing for him, is just continue to get in shape. But, you know, when he's on the field, we're different, and I'm excited to have him back.
And then the last couple of weeks, if you review the film with the holding penalties from the receiving room and the offensive line this past week, just your thoughts on that and how do you kind of balance that?
Yeah, it balance is a great word, because to me, like one penalty is too many penalties, just like a turnover. One turnover is too many turnovers. So the standard for us is play penalty-free football. But also, I'm not naive to the fact that guys are going to play hard and the ball's going to bounce, and they're thinking that the ball's going to hit inside, so they have inside leverage, and the ball bounces, and all of a sudden they're trying to sustain a block. Well, they hold. So I'm not naive to the fact that there's going to be holding penalties, but there can't be that many. Like I said, I felt like last weekend we just had way too many, and I felt like, okay, the ball did bounce a few times. Like I said, there's times where the ball bounces, and I can understand that. I can rationalize that. But also, I felt like we got tired and we stopped moving our feet at times, and not sustaining blocks, and that's why we held. And a couple of them were critical penalties. So we got to eliminate that. That's been addressed. I think our kids know that. It's been unfortunate these first couple of games, because that's the difference between a touchdown and a field goal. Noah scores twice with his legs, and neither one of them count.
Jason and Justin.
How would you assess the offensive line's play through 2 games?
I think they've been good. I think they can be better. I think Coach Oglesby is one of the better coaches I've ever been around. I think they meet, and he demands a standard that, to me, is an elite, is going to give us a chance to play at a high level. I think that group is just growing together. I do think they believe, and they have some great camaraderie. But there's also some times where, like, hey, we're gonna need some guys to really continue to develop so we can be the team that we want to be. But from the first game, I thought we ran the ball really well. I thought we had some protection issues that we addressed. And then this past weekend, I thought we protected a lot more better. But I didn't think we blocked in the run game as well as we did the week before. So I think if you ask that question to any OC in the country, they're going to tell you, we can be better, anybody up front. But I do like the guys that we have there, and I do believe in them. And I know they're working every day to make it right. So it'll be a big challenge for us this weekend. I'm excited to see, because I think this is going to really tell us where we're at there, just because I do think their D-line is a quality group. I think they have a couple edge pieces that we haven't seen yet, at least not in a game. So I'm excited to see where they're at, and I'm excited to see how they respond to this challenge, because it's going to be a big challenge for them.
And then just one more thing. On the opposite kind of perspective, you've had mobile quarterbacks in the past. Kansas State as a mobile quarterback. As an offensive coordinator, how does that change or add to what you can do offensively when you have a quarterback that can get out and run?
Well, if you're not afraid of running, you basically can call anything. And the greatest thing about a guy like Avery, and then you see Noah doing it a little bit too, is he can make a bad play right. Whether it be a busted route, a missed block, or they just covered it, or they fit it, he can make you right. And I think that's what, Braylon did for me at Marshall. There was a couple times where it probably should have been stuffed, whether it was quarterback run or, like I said, we missed a protection deal, and next thing you know, Braylon's on the edge and he's going for 50, And so I know that defense coordinators struggle with that, just because it's man, we had him dead to rights, and this dude just outran everybody. And so, like I said, I think he can make things right, and then in the run game he can give you problems just because you have an extra hat and you can manipulate boxes that way. So, I know he's a good player. I think it just depends on if you're willing to get that dude hit or not. That's another thing about running quarterbacks. I think which ones are fast. Guys that want to run on the edge, and then you have really powerful guys that you can run in between the tackles, and they're just basically another running back that can throw it. And I think that's the one that you have to really worry about, is the guy that's not afraid to get hit, that can stick his foot and get vertical, because he can really, really challenge you. And so that's my take on mobile QBs.
I'll ask two of you, Justin and Michael.
Got a couple for you. Correct me if I'm wrong. Was your first touchdown pass at Texas Tech against Kansas State?
Yeah, I believe so. Yeah, my redshirt freshman year. Okay. A little post, a stick post in mop-up duty. I think we were up 50 to Brick Brinker. Okay. Friendship guy, Texas guy, walk-on receiver. Yeah, I think you're right. Okay. Yeah. And then
what do you remember about the games against Kansas State and the battles you guys had?
Shoot. Well, when I played them, it was Colin Klein, and they were a top 10 team. And, I remember, I show the quarterbacks this all the time. One of the biggest hits I've ever taken was at K-State. And, but it's a kind of a teachable lesson because they're showing, you know, a pressure look. We have a zone called, and we have a three-man screen to the field side, and I have an RPO, like a single RPO to the single. Well, I have either option. Well, what I can't do is hold the ball. Well, I go to throw my single, and he runs a short route, and it froze me because I'm like, wait, did you just run that 2 steps? You know what I mean? Like, it froze me. The next thing you know, I'm holding the ball where they have an edge pressure that I'm responsible for, and I just get blasted, fumble, touchdown. And so I remember those guys being extremely physical and really good on defense. And then obviously they've always been able to pound the rock with the mobile quarterback. Like I said, Colin was always the guy when I was playing him, and they were always tough to play. So I'm excited about this weekend, and I know we're going to get their best shot regardless. Like, okay, you can give all the excuses all you want. Like, they just played Army. Like, it was a tough game for them. They had to play a bunch of snaps on defense. You can hear the head coach talk about how they're a little bit beat up, and they got to do a great job of getting healthy. But I fully expect that we're going to get their best shot because, to me, that's not a program that's just going to lay down when you back them into a corner. That's a program full of tradition of fight and physicality. So I know we're going to get a real fight this week on Friday night, and I think our guys are ready for it, and they're going to be prepared for it. So I'm excited about it.
We'll finish up with Michael.
You had 8 different receivers catch passes in week 1, 12 different receivers catch passes in week 2. Do you like that sort of distribution? How does that help?
Yeah, I think right, and I think the limitation with Hutt being out has allowed that to happen too. And then obviously Chris Hunter didn't play the first game. He played a little bit, didn't play much. So it allowed that rotation to be what it is, which was good because I felt like some of those guys needed to get real game experience going into, you know, quote unquote, the Big 12 opponents, because this is where it really matters, and this is what real football is about. And so, you know, I'm excited that they got those reps. I'm excited Mizell got those reps. I'm excited Gio got those reps. I'm excited Phelps made some plays because, you know, through this long journey of a Big 12 schedule, you're going to need those guys. And so they might not be your starters yet, but they're going to be great rotational players. And I'm excited that they've made plays early so they know what that feels like. So it's not like, okay, I need you to go make a fade catch against Kansas State, and this is the first time I'm expecting you to do that. Well, now you've done this. You've been in the end zone. You've made a big-time third down catch. You've gotten popped, right? So you know how to respond from getting popped. And so I'm excited about that group. And like you said, it's been a healthy rotation. I think those guys are all in it for the right reasons, and they all have each other's backs. And then when we get fully healthy, I think it would be dangerous for sure.
Thank you, Coach.
Yeah. Appreciate you guys.
the Cliff Notes version, okay? And there's pausing. Are you ready? Okay. So last week was 12 series, this week was 11. We'll break it down simple. It went punt, punt, interception, punt, punt, punt. First half's done. Okay, got an interception on the third series. And then you come out, the ones are going to get one series in the second half because the score has been dominant for, and they screw that one off, and they go down and they miss a field goal. Okay, next series is a pick six. And then so you go miss field goal, interception, punt, punt, punt. Game over. Sorry, punt, field goal, punt. So I made a field goal against our 2s and 3s, which was frustrating because you do want a clean sheet. 10th series, most frustrating drive of the whole day. Maybe the 7th because your 1s are still out there, and they gain those yards and miss a field goal. 2 of 13 on third down was really good. The big negatives, 4 runs of over 10 yards. And the very first one of the game is a 16-yard run by a quarterback who we talked about all week is going to run on you and run zone read. And so the very first play of the game, we're in a really good spot and understanding how we do things and what we do and not being over-aggressive when we don't need to be and when I say over-aggressive, like not slowing down, we're not going to hit people, but knowing where your fits are going to be. We are not a gap control scheme, and I'll explain some more of that here in just a minute. Like you've got to understand what gaps are going to be canceled if guys don't make mistakes. And so we've got an outside linebacker and a safety that are too aggressive to the interior run, which ain't going to happen. And so the quarterback pops it, and then we have a DB who we talk about wanting dominant contact when a blocker comes to you, doesn't make dominant contact. And the best part of that 16-yard run on the first play of the game by Gilkey, who Avery Johnson will do the same thing, and it'll be 60, it won't be 16. But our sideline is annihilating the DB that wasn't aggressive enough on the block. So I'm like, okay, we're going to be all right. Like the standard is the standard, and he didn't live up to it. And so they were all over him, and he played great the rest of the game. So we go 4 plays later, and we get a punt. So we stop them. We get a big third down on that series, 3rd and 1, and we stop them. Again, 3rd and 1, the offense should have the great advantage, and we do a great job and stop them. They're going to go 4 on 4th, they jump off sides, which we gave them 2 first downs by jumping off sides later in the game, which are the penalties that you have to eliminate. Like I heard Seth talking about, a guy gets outside and they hold and all that stuff. Moving ball penalties are going to happen. We can't have 9, but moving ball penalties are going to happen, a couple here and there. But like offsides, when you have them in 4th down and you jump when they hard count, that's like the most juvenile thing ever. Like we got to solve that, okay? The play where, and the 2 interceptions I talked about on the 3rd drive and the 6th drive, like when we were recruiting Trayton and Dalton and Marquise and all those guys to stay and Jen, like one of our big selling points was in a 4-year period at San Diego State, we had 84 interceptions, led the nation in 4 years. Okay, so like we're gonna hit quarterbacks and you're gonna have opportunities to intercept the ball. And now the big reason was we had really good players in the secondary there. Well, my appeal to them was, we've got really good players here in the secondary. Well, right now we're leading the nation in turnovers gained. We have to sustain that for the next few weeks, 12 to be exact, so that we can continue down that path of what we did. But we have good players and we're hitting the quarterback. The first interception was a 3rd down that Gavin's got a great break on the post that Jen intercepts because the ball goes off the receiver's hands, partly because we already early on we've been knocking the tar out of the receivers. Well, if you watch Jackson Gilkey on that play, Deshaun McKnight has we show a 6-man pressure and don't bring 6, and they screw up the protection. And Deshaun McKnight, who's a big man, comes scot-free at the quarterback and about breaks it. Looked like whiplash. And give Jackson Gilkey a lot of credit because the dude got up every time. And after the game, I love to go find those guys and be like, man, you're a tough sucker. I respect the hell out of you because, you kept getting up, and there's plenty of opportunity for you not to. So, good for him. He looks like a big old tight end playing quarterback who had 40 yards rushing, and Avery Johnson will be a similar body type. So the excitement to defend that this week, okay? There's 4 running plays that I talked about earlier. The first play of the game obviously went for 16 yards, okay? And then you go to the 35th play of the game. We are not a gap control scheme. So when you cancel gap with movement, if that movement doesn't happen because of an assignment error, all of a sudden there's a wide open gap. And now you're having the safety make a tackle for 11 yards. So we've got movement in and a guy doesn't wrap like he's supposed to, or he doesn't make a knife on a guard, and all of a sudden there's run pops, okay? Well, you go to play 49 and 51, Those are 2 plays in the 10-play drive where we started on the 47-yard line after a punt return. Well, the very first one, okay, once again, we're canceling gaps inside, so there should be a wall on the outside, and the guy decides to freaking knife it, short edge. Now, on that play, it's a 21-yard run. It was our longest play of the night. Tia Savea, your 3 technique your nose guard in there, does a phenomenal job and runs down the running back 21 yards downfield because Dalton Johnson, here's one of those missed tackle opportunities that I talk about, not being a missed tackle. Dalton Johnson comes across the field and freaking takes his shot at the running back and misses, but the running back has to come to a complete stop to make him miss and get vertical again. Well, as he comes to a complete stop, Tia Savea about cuts his head off from behind and violently misses the ball being another fumble by about 2 inches. Give the running back credit, he hung on to it, but he had no idea the guy was coming from behind, getting ready to decapitate him because he slowed up, and that's a part of the playing hard. Now, 2 plays later, okay, we are on the first drive of the second half. We same thing. Whether you're going to set a wall, you're the contain guy, zone read, don't let the quarterback hold it. Well, we crashed, and sometimes the excuses are funny, as in that's not okay. But we'll save some of the colorful words. And so they run zone read, and they get 11 yards. Okay, so Jackson Gilkiv is 40 yards. 25 of them are on 2 carries. We can't do that with Avery Johnson. So solve that problem, and we'll have better success of that with edge pieces. Now, that 10th drive was against the ones. Those 2 plays that I was talking about, 49 and 51, are against 3s and 4s. And the biggest thing about that, they gave up a field goal. The standard doesn't drop just because you go in there and the game's out of hand. Okay, you've seen the deal. We haven't given up a touchdown in 2 games. I mean, our goal is to keep them out of the end zone. Is it realistic to do this for a long time? Who knows? It's happened 4 times in 40 years. And you go back to the 1992 team that did it, and they actually held 7 of their 11 opponents to single-digit scores. I think the 92 team are probably the best defense of the Desert Swarm era, ever. They finished 2nd in the country, but 7 of the 11 they hold to single-digit, okay? It happened in 2000 against some real opponents, San Diego State and Stanford. And then you go to 2010, and it's fairly similar to our schedule. They play Toledo and they play the Citadel, and they hold them to no touchdowns in those. So 4 times in 40 years, that's something to be proud of. There's 2 teams in the country that have done that right now. Okay, have we played the best competition? No, but Hawaii went and put 447 yards against Sam Houston, who's been pretty good the last few years. So being able to build on that. Interesting, after the game, we go in the thing, it's 48-3. And there's some long faces on some of the coaches, which that kind of drives me crazy, because as we preach to the kids about how hard you're going to work in the 43 to 52 weeks that we make something mandatory, and winning is not easy. And we obviously went the amount of games we lost last year. It doesn't matter who you beat. All the work you put in, when you win that game, we're supposed to have this 24-hour rule where you enjoy it. Go in the locker room and have fun. And so, all the coaches coming in, I'm good luck. Well, we could have done this. Well, guess what? Freaking game's over. We can solve that tomorrow, okay? We got a short week. We better move on. Enjoy this dang thing, because we just want a football game that's not easy to do in no matter who you play. And you know what? We won it in pretty dominating fashion on both sides of the ball. I mean, we got out on them early and played really well, okay? The 2s and 3s, now we can go through the whole 10th series, and we'll give you the cliff notes on that, okay? You send the pressure, guy scrambles for 5 yards. Very next play, assignment mistake. Okay, it's 8-play drive, assignment mistake. 3rd play, 0 yards. Riley Wilson makes an appearance, and it's wow, okay, here we go. Next one, once again, you give up, we lose it was the play 49 and 51. We lose contain on the edge, gets down there with an opportunity. Now they're in scoring range. Okay, the very next play, once again, Riley Wilson shows up, but we miss a tackle on a good stunt. We miss tackle, those are going to happen. They get 6. The 3rd play, the 7th play of the series, Riley Wilson makes tackle for loss because we're going to be aggressive, see if we can cause a turnover, and then they kick a field goal, which we came really close to blocking. So we start at the 47, they get 31 yards. Let's eliminate that. Get off the field. Our job is to get off the field. Doesn't matter if you're a 2 or a 3 or a 4. We had some guys out there that had not practiced with us. They were the scout team guys. Doesn't matter. Our expectation and our standard is to do this. Compete in everything you do. Does not matter. The competition that we drive between offense and defense around here will make us better overall. But the ultimate competition, compete to freaking celebrate after the game too. I mean, everything you do. In our house, Uno's a big thing with our family. Our 2 girls, our 2 daughters. It's a big deal. Last night was Uno night. We got home late, but they were still awake before they went to bed. And our 11-year-old who has Down syndrome, she's like, Dad, time for Uno? I'm like, yeah, let's go sit at the table. So my wife and my 2 daughters, we go, now this is going on a tangent, and you can put Coach here, you can tell him, like, skip this part. But we're playing Uno, and I absolutely hate losing at anything. And Abby, who, our 11-year-old, like I said, one with Down syndrome, like, we fought for her to be in a gen ed class. Like, we totally believe in inclusion because people are going to learn from her as much as she learns from them. And when we moved here, like, this coaching world is really small. Lute Olson's daughter, Jody Brazzi, I think is how you say her last name, she reached out to my wife and, you know, as a coach's kid and a coach's daughter, and was like, hey, this is where you need to be for your daughter to have success in schools, which is awesome. And so that's like another part of the reason, like 520, like Lute Olson is like a legend around here, and for his daughter to reach out to my wife, like, that's really special. And that's a part of the Tucson community that makes this place special. And I can remember growing up in Albuquerque, Lute Olson saying, like, I'm never going back to the pit because we cheated them in '88 when we beat Sean Elliott with, you know, and Luke Long was on that team, but another tangent. So anyways, we're playing Uno, okay? And so Abby gets down to one card, and I'm like, she doesn't say Uno. And I'm like, not draw 2 cards. And Sandra's like, no, like, come on, give it. I'm like, no. Like, are we talking about inclusion? Like, no, get 2 cards, Abby. Like, I don't care. Like, you should have said Uno. So she draws 2 cards. She didn't win, by the way. Now, Chloe, our 13-year-old, won. I finished second, which really kind of pissed me off. But Chloe wins, and she stands up and gives me the whole, bam, beats you again. Like, here we go, because that's 3 in a row that I've lost at Uno night. But, like, that kind of competition in everything. Like, okay, we're dads, we're fathers, we're husbands and all that stuff. Like, do that same thing on the field with our 3s and 4s. That stuff is, like, super important. So we made progress between week 1 and 2, okay? Kansas State is like the standard of what we're trying to build. Coach Kleiman's done a great job. You go all the way back to Bill Snyder. Like, Kansas State has a bunch of really tough kids. And Matt Wells is a good friend of mine. We were on the same staff at New Mexico together as assistant coaches before either one of us were coordinators. And I think he's a really good ball coach that will do some things systematically. Like Avery Johnson, like, I'm sure everybody on Coach Shear's message board and in the city of Tucson is like, are we going to be able to edge contain that guy? And Coach B was like, hey, like, we better have an edge tomorrow. Like, those runs around the corner. And I'm like, I agree 100%. So we will have an edge. I think Avery Johnson's a great player. And Matt Wells is doing some things with him different than they did 2 years ago, different than they did last year. Last year he had 18 rushes for 70-some yards against us. So when you get into games now, and this is not a conference game on record, but it's a conference game. I mean, it's a similar opponent. I mean, it doesn't matter. You play all your cards. Like, there's no more holding anything back. It's about winning now and having a chance to elevate to win enough games to win a conference championship, make the CFP, and do all those things. They've got receivers 2, 1 and 12. Okay, 5 got hurt, broke his hand. It looked like in the game. Didn't sound like he'll play. Dylan Edwards plays number 3. That dude's really dynamic. You saw what he did. I mean, he had the punt return last year against us that I thought changed the entire game. He had a couple edge runs last year where he got around the corner and got vertical on us. Their O-line, I mean, that center, 75, heck, that dude's going to play in the NFL. Like, I think he's a really good athlete, really good player. Okay, you've got Joe Jackson and Devin Rice at running back, who are a 2-headed monster. They're both really fast. They do a great job of running in between the tackles. So there's a great challenge there, because if you put all your money on stopping those 2, Avery Johnson will kill you around the edge. And then they got 2 tight ends that look like Tyler Powell. They put one on the ball, 83, and then Oakley, 86. Swanson is the one that usually is on the ball. He's also on their punt team and is vicious and violent. And then Oakley in space. I mean, between their receivers already having 19 catches and 12 catches in 3 games, that means Avery Johnson is throwing the ball really well. And I think I've seen some improvement between this year and last year in how he's throwing the football, which makes him even more scary, because when you've got a guy that can run like that, you got to be able to, 1, play coverage to be able to give him some different pictures, and then 2, be able to stop the run. Okay, so I'm glad I heard Dalton say that we have a faceless opponent, because it really is. Because there's obviously the big plays that we've given up has been stuff that if we're supposed to cancel gaps and you don't cancel it, shame on you. That's our fault. So solve the things that need to be solved. The faceless opponent is not going to change whether it's this week or next week against Iowa State or the following week after that. You've got to continue to prove on yourself as a football team, and then give them the situations that prepare them best for the football game to have a chance to win. I'm proud of where our football team is, Guess what? That's all behind us now. That's history. We've beaten 2 teams we should have beaten. Okay? And there was concern in the offseason that we might not beat those 2 teams. Well, we've beaten 2 teams that we should have beaten. Give Hawaii and Weber State all the respect and credit in the world. They came, and with the things, the distractions that we had Saturday night with lightning delay of 2 hours, when our kids took the field, it was impressive. I mean, really proud of that. That's a mature group. And Kansas State ain't going to hold anything back on Saturday. I fully expect Dylan Edwards to play. I fully expect those guys to be sharp and physical. And Coach Kleiman's a great coach and knows how to get his team fresh and ready to play. And the most scary thing about a really tough football team is if they handle the recovery right and they're fresh, it's going to be a violent war. And, like, if we get an opportunity to step on their throat, like Seth said, like, let's go gut them. And they're going to have the same philosophy with us. So Friday night's going to come really quick. We want the entire 5-2-0 to show up. The Zona Zoo was awesome, even after the Lightning show, okay? And so let's make this place like what a Big 12 school is. Like, let's show the Big 12 that there's a problem in Tucson. And when we talk next week, hopefully there is a problem in Tucson. So that was a little bit shorter. Where are we at, Coach Shear?
16:40.
See? Cliff notes. There we go. Yeah. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Brett.
We'll go Troy and then Justin.
So, talking about Avery Johnson, how do you think that your first 2 opponents help you prepare for dual threat quarterbacks?
Well, unfortunately, the first one, Mike Alejado, was really hobbled. And Luke Weaver, they didn't really run any zone reads. He broke a couple scrambles on us where we had him in the grass and didn't do a good job of getting him on the ground. Jackson Gilkey was better, and Coach Wells will have a couple of different opportunities. I mean, the zone read lead, their tight ends, when Oakley's coming around the edge and leading on that, is going to be a violent picture. So we've done some of that this week. Avery Johnson is dangerous. We've got to keep him. And he's not only dangerous running in zone read. I mean, they've got the bash counter. They've got all those different quarterback runs. But if you lose integrity in your rush lanes, which we did a couple times last year, that dude's going to get vertical on you and hurt you right away. So it's a tenfold process of how can you be great on defense, of taking care of everything and not now. I mean, you see the belief that they have. We got to continue to build on that and correct the minor things. But Avery Johnson is a triple threat quarterback. Well, I mean, he can run, he can throw, and he can break plays and hurt you with his feet.
And then also just your thoughts on Riley Wilson getting back on the field and what you saw out of him.
The Riley play, we didn't play Riley until the second half. He had 6 tackles in the 4 plays. Now, they had 65 yards in the first half. They had 61 yards on the 6th, 7th drive of the game. That 61 yards drives me crazy. But that first half, those guys did a great job. Minus 2 third downs, a 3rd and 10 where we give up a catch, and a 3rd and 2 where we miss a tackle and they get a first down. I can't believe I just forgot the second part of your question. Riley Wilson. When he came in, the energy that he brings, and Dalton had mentioned it, the energy that he brings is fun. His teammates were excited. And when the guys on the sideline, there's 2 reactions, and Coach Navarro just said this all the time. When a guy goes into the game, there's one version, and it's like, OS, this guy's in the game. Or is it, OS, yeah, this guy's in the game. Well, it was the second version that Riley got, okay? Because you can be like, oh, God, no, that guy? Like, sometimes it is that. That guy's not prepared. Your teammates don't have confidence. Well, they were ready for Riley to see the field, and he made a couple big plays in that short time. So he makes our football team better, and it was really exciting to see him out there.
Justin and Brian.
I have a 2-part question. Gunnar Maldonado, I know you were his position coach last year.
Mm-hmm.
What do you remember just about the 1 year that you worked with him? And with that, what do you think about Genesis taking over his spot this year?
Let's go back all the way to 2018. I was Gunnar's first P4 offer at the school up north. So I've known Gunnar for a long time. And then Gunnar went away to Northwestern and watched his recruitment as he was coming back to Arizona and thought it was a great fit for him to come back here. Genesis, we've talked about it already. Like that guy is a freak, and he's shown in the first 2 games how aggressive he is. I mean, we've seen him come down and just smack people, how big his presence is in the middle of the field, and then how much his tackling has improved over the first 2 years. Gunnar coming off a knee injury, having to compete with a guy who's 100% completely healthy, and I would love to have Gunnar here, because when you have multiple guys that have that much experience, there's so much more you can do with packages, whether you want to put 6 DBs in there. The dollar package they had in 23 was 7. But being an every down player, knowing the wall he was against, he decided that going to Kansas State would give him a better opportunity to have that refresh start, which as a person, I absolutely love Gunner. And I'm super excited. And any kid that decides to give themselves a better chance, like the city of Tucson should still love Gunner Maldonado. Don't be disappointed because he chose to go a route that he thinks is best for him. And so I'm really looking forward to seeing Gunner, just to give him a hug and tell him how proud of him I am that he busted his tail to get back from a knee injury, much like Traden, and be able to see him play on the field. I mean, it's fantastic. Love that kid.
Brian and Jason.
Do you expect Trey to be able to go available at this game? And if not, what's the plan? Who would step in for him?
I think the biggest piece of having depth in all those pieces, Trey and I think Geronimo, one of those guys, are doing a great job of getting all the guys that are injured back. I have no idea if Trey Smith's going to play. And when Coach Wells and Coach Kleiman watch this, they're going to be like, he's full of it, like just like we talked about Dylan Edwards. I don't know if Trey's going to play. We'll make that as a game time decision. The injury to Trey happened on the interception to Genesis, and I was kind of upset on the sideline because I thought it was dirty. It was not. The guy tripped over Trey's foot and rolled onto his ankle. And did you notice during the play that Trey was hurt? You did not, because the sucker got off the field. He actually ran off the field. Like, that's a big deal around here. We take pride in that. And so he didn't come back in the game, and he wasn't on the sideline in the second half, so we could go make sure that everything was good, and they did all those things. But, like, there's significant pride in that. Malachi Bailey has done a great job having Riley back. Chase has done some really good stuff on the edge. Deshaun played end instead of our 30 stuff. I mean, all those guys can rotate. Dom Lalesio played really good, significantly better from week 1 to week 2 without the knee injury bothering him as much and actually having more practice reps. So Trey is one of the toughest kids I've been around, so I know it's going to be really hard to keep him off the field. But unfortunately, as coaches, we don't get to make those decisions. I mean, you always look out for the best interest of kids, but I want everybody to play. So that's why they let those guys, and that's why they don't tie trainers to coaches' contracts anymore, like in the old days. Because guess what? In the old days, all those guys would be on the field, but it's smarter now.
Jason and Michael.
How is this year's offense under Matt Wells different than last year's?
So if you go back to when Matt was at Utah State and also Texas Tech, but more so Utah State, where he was calling it every single down. The movement and pieces they try and give you, they're very similar to what we do defensively. They try and give you a bunch of pre-snap pictures and completely change it by the time the ball's snapped. The movement, when he has weapons, especially scary with Dylan Edwards, like the different things that they can do with that guy, because you can line him up at wide out, you can put him in the backfield, you can run the fly sweeps and all those series with him. The big mass shifts and motions, it gets DB's eyes dirty. And like if you're going to play a lot of man coverage, which we've shown in the first 2 weeks, like if you're not great in concentration, you're going to see guys in purple and gray running around by themselves. Like that's a bad plan. So those are the things more so what they did than they did last year. The running game with Avery, and I don't know if they changed something in the way he throws, but I think Avery's throwing it better this year than he did last year. 2 years ago, at the end of 23, like all the different stuff that they did with Avery Johnson shows you how elite he is as a runner, and now he's playing elite as a passer. So I mean, they've done a great job of coaching him and making him a better player. So Matt does a great job of moving things around, giving you different pictures, running different plays out of the same picture. I mean, I think really good coordinators and play callers, they set you up for failure, and they do things that make you think they're going to get something and then give you the same picture and give you something else. And it's very similar to what we try and do. So, I mean, it'll be fun. I mean, when Matt left New Mexico, and I'm fairly handy in the stuff I like to do. I mean, I like to do projects and stuff. I redid the entire floor of that dude's house to help him sell it. Like we gutted out all the carpet and tile and put in wood flooring. And so I'll remind him of that before the game. Like, hey man, you owe me. Like, let's have some fun after this. Let's try and kill each other.
Michael and Justin.
I have a flooring project at home if you're.
Hey, spring break is like the time that we have off. Like 43 of the 52 weeks of the year, spring break. Let's attack this thing. We'll attack everything. We'll compete and like see who's better by the end of it. Yeah.
The question Is what are the kind of the main coaching points when it comes to containing a mobile quarterback or someone who might execute those kind of zone read plays?
Understand, one, because the zone read is a threefold play. I mean, they've got the RPO off of it where he can throw it, and they do not call linemen downfield anymore. Okay, we're going to have some pregame officiating contests because they've got some of the things that I talk about with Matt Wells giving you different pictures where they'll give you end over formations where receivers are covered up, but they're still running downfield and the referees don't call it. Because they do it so fast and they move so fast and all those things, the referees half the time don't even know because it's not their fault. It's just the way, it's the design of it. It's smart, so you can cut guys loose that way. So in the old days when you had an end over, you knew you didn't have to cover a guy. Well, you better cover him because they might still throw it to him and they won't catch it. Knowing what's going on around you, so you know what pieces are taken care of, and then who's responsible for the quarterback. And we want to give them pictures that one guy might be responsible pre-snap, and it's another guy post-snap. And so knowing, okay, and then leverage. What kind of runner is he? Seth talked about earlier, like a quarterback that can put his foot in the ground and get vertical is really scary. A quarterback that has super speed that can outrun you. I mean, there's different versions. So know what you're getting and then put your best athletes in space to be able to match that up. Like if you ask a nose guard to set the edge and come around on a stunt and be the quarterback player, well then shame on you. That's your fault. Okay, don't put kids in positions where they can't do something. Those are the kind of things that we've stressed this week and knowing. And as this thing evolves, as they get better, like I said in after the Hawaii game, I called a defense conceptually that should have worked that we didn't understand. Well, they were ready for it in week 2, and it worked. We stopped them on 3rd and 1. So there's positives in learning small pieces of that. We've drilled and stuff, and we've done some more walkthrough stuff with the shortened week so that we can get some learning pieces and then come after them. And then like today was we went full pads yesterday, full pads again today on a short week. Like we're going to try and get ready for a physical game on Friday because it's going to be a super physical game.
So what's it like going up against Trey Spivey in practice?
So the Trey Spivey from spring to the Trey Spivey to now, he's playing significantly faster. And when you know what you're doing and you know how to do it, usually you can play with more confidence, which he is. I think he's playing I think Colin and those guys did a great job because his body has kind of changed from the spring to the summer, so he's bigger and stronger, which when you throw a ball, like the very first ball of the Hawaii game, like they threw that into 3 dudes, and he jumped up over all of them and caught it. I didn't see him doing that in the spring. He's bigger, faster, stronger. He went down the other day in practice and hopped right back up, and like it's the mentality piece of it. And I think that carries in everything you do. I mean, he's probably attacking his classes the same way he's attacking the playbook, and the same way he's attacking his relationship with his girlfriend. It's like win at everything. And because of that, you've seen significant improvement from when he first got here. And then I think there's a huge confidence piece. I mean, I think he left there to, much like Gunner, find a spot where he felt that he was in better position, and he's probably felt that. And I think Bobby Wade has done a phenomenal job. Seth's done a phenomenal job. I think his teammates, and they give Spivey the most credit for buying in and living that life every single day. And now he's a problem. And you saw how fast he looked on the touchdown on Saturday. You saw how nice of a job he did going up and getting that ball in the first catch against Hawaii. Like, the dude's a problem for the Big 12, which is fun. I'm glad he's on our team and not on the purple and gray that's coming into town.
All right, thank you, everybody.
It's kind of boring today. Good.